All right, so I got this right here. It's the Arturia MiniLab 3. I'm a little late. I'm very late to the party. Arturia sent this over a few days ago and I got it and I've been working with it for a little bit. And there's already been some great videos explaining all this stuff, all the functions and everything on here. I'm gonna talk about this MIDI controller right here and let you guys know what I actually think about it. So yeah, let's talk about some of the key things about it, and I'm gonna give you guys, the real on how I feel about it. Bolo! All right, first things first, what do I like about this MIDI controller? You guys already know, Arturia has the best keyboard, period, okay? This right here is exceptional, even for the price point and for this size. The keyboard just is much better than a lot of stuff that's on the market right now. All right, number two, this little button right here, this button right here, the hold button. This is something really good. You don't remember to bring your pedal with you all the time, and then you'll have like a natural sustain to it, just like you're pressing a pedal. So when you play the notes, it has like that natural hold and that natural sustain to it, and that's really cool. I actually like that a lot. And another thing, I know some people were talking about it, but they were talking about the pads on here, but the pads are not that bad. The pads are not that bad. They're not superior to some of the other controllers, but the pads on here are actually pretty cool to me. All right, let's get to the real. Now, I actually did ask Arturia to send some stuff over, which they did, which they sent me the mini fuse, which I just did a video with that, and they sent this over as well, and they sent some software. Now, I reached out to them, and they sent me some stuff over. Thank you so much for Arturia for that. But one thing that I will say is I'm still a multi-platinum producer that works with people pretty much every single week. I don't work as much in the studio as I used to, but pretty much once or twice throughout the week, I usually get an artist in, we make some music. Sometimes it comes out, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it goes big, sometimes it doesn't. You just got to put your time in. That's how it works. And a lot of times when I get these products, it's not about me just getting a whole bunch of products for free. Like that's not how I roll. I try to get these products so I can go ahead and do an honest review on them so I can present them to you guys before you guys spend money, because the last thing we want to do is spend money on a whole bunch of stuff that we do not need. All right, just being honest with you guys on that. Now, a lot of times what I do is I take these products to the studio as well, and I usually use these products with other producers, and I kind of get feedback from them. Now, the feedback that I got from this right here is that this thing is actually kind of big. It's actually kind of big. And even though it still has that classic Arturia little look to it with the wood side and stuff on it, it's much bigger than some of the other 25 key controllers on there. So it's not terribly big, but it's actually pretty big. Another thing too is it has some updates on it, like it has the arpeggiator on there, and it has the chord stuff on here as well. But come on, man, let's just be honest. Who's really using that when you're producing like that? Like, nobody's not really using it. And I said it even on some other MIDI instruments. Like, that's cool stuff to add in there, but unless we're gonna make this into like a real like keyboard, I don't think it's pretty much needed. Just me out of the 8 billion people in the world now. It's 8 billion officially now. Another thing is this MIDI thing right here, okay? Now, this right here is great because it's a pedal thing on here. And of course it's USB-C, but I understand that, a lot of people are going back to analog gear and all that stuff like that. But usually, if they do have analog gear already, they most likely have something to control it already. That's what just most of the people I know. But maybe if you're somebody starting out, you want to, go and buy some real MIDI plugs and plug it into some MIDI stuff and maybe play with that. Okay, cool, I can see this. But, most of the times if people do have MIDI stuff, they usually have something dedicated for it. So I don't think that really a lot of these, especially these 25 key controllers, I don't really think they would really need any MIDI ports on them. Just me, speaking about that. Now, the only other thing that I really kind of don't like about this this MIDI controller, like if you're in Logic Pro or whatever, you have to press a little shift thing right here and then press play and then shift and stop. And this is, I think it, could have had its own little dedicated controller thing, or not just have one at all. How about that? Now, everything else on this MIDI controller is actually cool. I like that they don't have a whole bunch of knobs. They got rid of some knobs and they added some faders and stuff on here. and everything else is pretty compacted on here. But with this just being what it is, a MIDI controller, it's okay. It's cool. It does what it does. You plug it up to a program. Sometimes the program doesn't recognize it. Sometimes it does. And then, you know, if it doesn't recognize it, like maybe Logic, you can go ahead and download the scripts. But in Studio One, there's no script for it. So, you know, you got to kind of go in and kind of tell the knobs and everything what to do. But, you know, it's not that hard. You know, that's pretty much with everything in Studio One. But, you know, it has scripts for FL Studio, Logic, and Ableton and stuff like that. That's pretty much it. It's a basic MIDI controller. But, I'm not going to bash this thing all the way through. Now, the good thing about this controller is everything that's on here, when you plug this up to the Arturia software, all of this works seamlessly with the software. Let me kind of show you guys, instead of me talking so much about it, let me show you guys what I mean by the integration with the keyboard and the software. I don't have an overhead view, but you'll see all the knobs and stuff moving, okay? Okay, so as you guys can see, I have the Prophet 5 pulled up, and at the bottom right here, you have, you know, the timbre, the time, movement, chorus, mix, phaser, mix, reverb, volume, all that good stuff. So when I play a note, you see how that sounds. Now what I can do is I can add my chorus mix by just pressing the knob right here, this knob right here, and it just turns up like that. And then I can press these other knobs and add all of these other effects to it, and everything will be great. We can just use the keyboard. And now if I want to add a phaser to it, if I add a chorus mix or even delay on there, and then, or if I want to add my reverb. And if I want to turn it up and down, bam, I can just turn it up and down using my keyboard. Didn't have to do any settings with it. Everything was ready to go. I'm done. Now that's cool with Analog Lab, but let's try like augmented piano, and let me show you guys what it can do with that. So we're now back in augmented piano, which I just did a video on this, so you guys can go and check that out if you want to. But I'm gonna show you guys how this thing works with augmented piano. Now with the other one, we didn't use all of the knobs. We actually used knobs 5 through 8, which is the bottom knobs. But with augmented piano, you can use all of the knobs, all of the 8 knobs, to give it the sound that you want. So if I hit on knob number 1, that controls the color. So if I press that, if I hit on knob 2, it controls the whole morph. So it's going to control all of the effects and what's got set. You can morph it. 3 controls the time. 4 controls the motion. 5 controls effect A. 6 controls effect B. 7 controls delay, and 8 controls the reverb. And the fader number 4 controls the volume. I didn't have to touch nothing. I had to touch my mouse, I had to touch nothing. All I had to do was just hit this, and then bam, you know, all of this. That's what makes the keyboard special when being used with the Arturia software. But other than that, this is a decent MIDI controller, but it could be better when it is used with the Arturia software. They're trying to keep everything in its own ecosystem. I get it. Hooking it up and using it with other stuff is fine. You can still control it. You just have to assign it. This is best when using it with the software. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys want to watch other videos, they have a ton of videos explaining how this thing works. It's a pretty cool little MIDI controller. I'm going to be using it, especially with my Arturia stuff. I'm going to be making more videos, especially some beat making videos with it. But I just wanted to come on here real quick just to tell you guys my initial thoughts of it. And, you know, if you want to get it for Christmas or not, because it's right around the corner. The MiniLab 3 is cool, but with the software, it is great. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys learned something from it. And like I always say, peace out.